Hey everyone, this is a 5-minute review of the study guide for the next Kind Minds Club Croak. The topic is gratitude, and as you'll see in the sources, it's less of a self help concept to give you a warm, fuzzy feeling and more of an attitude. You can actually study, practice, and live with gratitude. Joseph, who will be leading our croak, thinks of gratitude in 3 parts: noticing what's already good in our lives, expressing that to others, and, over time, learning to operate that way by default. That last part is the goal, an attitude of gratitude as a natural way of being rather than a practice you have to remember to check off your list. Here are some of the key concepts from the sources in the study guide. Wanting versus having. Dr. K from the Healthy Gamer GG YouTube channel explains that desire doesn't get satisfied, it just relocates. You get the thing, the feeling fades fast, and now you want the next thing. He calls it the wanting stance. Your attention is always on what's missing. The shift he says we should make is moving attention to what's already present, the having stance. Marshall Salins, an anthropologist, comes at this from a completely different direction. He studied hunter gatherer societies and argued they were the most affluent people in human history, not because they had a lot, but because they wanted very little. Their material needs were modest and easily met. They worked around 15 to 20 hours a week, and the rest was leisure. He called it the original affluent society. His argument is that affluence isn't a production problem, it's a desire problem. Jimmy Carr is a comedian by trade, but in a relevant interview, he said, happiness is quality of life minus envy. He points out that modern basics like hot showers, antibiotics, and the ability to look anything up instantly, these are all things that most people in history never had. That reframing of the simple luxuries of life helps contextualize Salin's concept of affluent society and Dr. K's having stance in terms we can easily understand. Next is reciprocity. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a botanist and member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Her view of gratitude extends beyond relationships with people to our relationship with the natural world. The earth provides, and that requires something in return. She calls it the honorable harvest. You can take what you need, but you also give something back and treat what you receive as a gift. Likewise, the oxygen we breathe and the carbon dioxide we exhale, the sacred breath, is a sacred gift and exchange. This sense of stewardship requires that we view the land as more than just a resource and recognize that we are only a part of an ecosystem, and our actions have consequences that affect the land, the flora and fauna, and ourselves. Then there are the stories of gratitude. Oliver Sacks wrote his final essays after a terminal cancer diagnosis. For him, facing death produced a kind of clarity. Everything inessential dropped away, and what was left was gratitude for being conscious on this planet at all. To him, it is an enormous privilege, a sacred breath. In the Book of Joy, the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, both of whom went through serious national and personal loss, identify 8 pillars of joy: perspective, humility, humor, acceptance, forgiveness, compassion, generosity, and gratitude. Their shared conclusion is that joy is durable, not fleeting, and that it comes from focusing on other people rather than your own circumstances, a perspective that echoes in the other resources from the study guide. In the book Little Women, the March family navigates financial hardship during the Civil War, finding that simplicity, work, and each other were genuinely enough. Alcott calls it the sunny side of poverty, which could sound like toxic positivity, but the idea of finding gratitude, even in hard times, is a through line from Sachs to spiritual leaders and even in American coming of age stories. Now let's talk about what's happening in the brain. Andrew Huberman's research covers the medial prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that determines the meaning of your experience. When it's active, it suppresses the amygdala. That part of the brain is responsible for threat detection. Huberman explains that just listing things you're grateful for isn't an effective way to activate the medial prefrontal cortex. Findings show that the strongest activation comes from receiving gratitude. But since you can't control when that happens, a practical and effective workaround is witnessing it. A genuine story of someone being helped and sincerely thanked triggers your prosocial circuits in almost the same way. The brain doesn't draw a clean line between experiencing and observing gratitude. Finally, here are 3 practical tools you can use from the sources. First, stop, look, and go. David Steindl-Rast's method for practicing gratitude includes stopping to build pauses into your day, looking to actually pay attention to what's around you and see what you can be grateful for, then going and doing something with that gratitude in the moment. Second, practice gratitude to be 18.5% happier. The Gratitude Diaries reports that gratitude practice accounts for a roughly 18.5% difference in individuals' happiness scores. Keeping a journal to reframe events is a consistent way to get there, given that you keep in mind Huberman's findings that it has to be real gratitude. You can't fake it, it has to be real to activate the MPF. And third, celebrate. Tony Robbins makes the point that you don't need to hit big goals to celebrate. Training yourself to register small wins daily builds momentum, while restraining from celebrating small wins kills it. One thing to keep in mind is that actually expressing gratitude to people in your life is uncomfortable. That discomfort is part of what makes it work. In compassionate vulnerability, we see our lives clearly and deepen our appreciation for what is. That's it for this review. See you at the Croak.